Welcome back to New Day. Right now, a U.S. jet is over the search zone looking for those two objects spotted by satellite some days ago, we believe about 15 miles south-southwest from Perth, Australia. 1,500 miles is how far they have to travel just to start the search. The ocean, always a tremendous challenge, but this is something different. Home to some of the most unforgiving weather patterns on the planet. If these two objects are even confirmed from Flight 370, may be the worst place to try to recover them. Let's bring in Indra, Petersons, our meteorologist, of course. What are we dealing with here? The distance, you're telling me, may be the least of their problems.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the currents, the winds, and also the depth. Three of the worst things in all scenarios. We're talking about the worst case scenarios for all of them. One of the things I want to talk about is notice the location of the debris. When you talk about these latitudes, notice this is 40 south and 50 south, the latitude. When you get between 45 and 55, you're talking about the Arctic circumpolar current. Long word, but what it means, it's one of the strongest currents in the world. It's 1,200 miles wide, and it goes from the surface all the way down to the depth. And it can move debris anywhere as fast as 25 miles per day.
So 25 miles per day. We believe the red dots are where they last sighted the debris.
Correct.
We don't know where it is now, but this is something they're going to have to take into consideration. And that current not only pushes it farther, but could push it down as well, right?
Right, and you're talking about that's 5 days old. And keep in mind, so you're talking about 100, 125 miles. They only have a couple of hours every day to search for this. So by the time they come back from Australia right back to the debris spot, there's potential this has already moved another 125 miles in just that one day. So that's a huge concern.
So if they guess right on the current, then they have to deal with the wind.
Correct, and that's the other problem. The exact same latitudes. You keep hearing everyone talking about the roaring 40s. There's also the furious 50s. These are some of the strongest winds. Now, these winds go all the way around the globe, but notice, you're not talking about any land that is intersecting. So with that, you actually have friction, slows down winds. There is no friction here. Very strong winds that go even as high as tropical storm force. So even 60-mile-per-hour winds, especially the farther south you go, and we're switching seasons. So this is the concern. We start to see the wind strengthen and actually come a little bit higher up. And you notice where that debris potential is. We're going to start to see the winds only strengthen as we go forward in time.
So the location is a challenge. The season is a challenge.
Right.
Having no land is also a challenge because it increases the wind effect. And then you have that it's some of the deepest ocean as well, right? Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, we're talking about rough seas, so anything that potentially should be floating may not be floating anymore. So that's the concern. Of course, you have these air patches and anything like a wing in a plane, but you could have those rough seas bring it down. We do have a map here, hopefully, that we can put up here in just a second, kind of show you the depth here. We're talking about the depth being anywhere from about 1,000 to even 10,000 feet. So when you talk about that, you're talking about that slope really going farther down to the south. It doesn't look like we have that map, so I'll take you back down here and kind of show you what we're looking at. So there's this ridge right in the region. So if you're right along that ridge, you're actually talking about 1,000 feet, which is going to be better searching. But once you go farther down about 10,000 feet, you know that slope is very deep. The good news is, though, it's a very smooth surface. So that is the one plus they have in this area. The terrain is smooth, a lot easier to navigate underneath the water.
We had some of our sources were talking about the benthic properties of the ocean in that area, which I guess deals with the bottom of the ocean. But this is relevant not just because of available area that they have to look at, but because of what you're dealing with signal strength of the beacon, right? They have to be within like 3 miles of it to hear it at all.
Yeah, you need to be close enough, and it looks like we actually have that map here behind us now. So if we zoom under, you'll notice right now we're looking at this debris area being about a good 2 million nautical mile. That's the search area they're looking for. Once they get underneath, look how smooth this is. So that is the plus I was just talking about. Definitely a smooth terrain underneath there, but we need to narrow this down to about 5,000 square miles before it even really makes sense and they're able to actually find something underneath the water.
And you're also dealing with top sea conditions as well. Yesterday they had freaky white cap waves, right? And that makes it difficult because they're looking for something white, and it's just general navigability, whether on water or in the air, right?
Yeah, you're talking about waves now going from anywhere from about 15 feet. Of course, as we start to shift towards winter, we're talking about 30, even 40-foot waves are going to start kind of shifting farther to the north. And who's to say when you talk about a current that's 1,200 miles wide, where that debris originally started, where it could be, and that impact makes a big difference. How scattered that debris is going to be out there. The farther south it is, of course, you're going to see a lot more trouble. And that's the biggest concern.
Slows down how, in terms of getting to the area, slows down how much they can search, and over the next few days, they'll start seeing tough weather again, which is going to slow down the search period.
Yeah, the conditions are only worsening. And a lot of people keep talking about this, the Indian Ocean gyre, that big circulation. Just keep in mind, most of the debris in a gyre is typically small unless there was a huge weather event, kind of like a tsunami, which they have not had recently, brings larger amounts of debris in the area. And of course, if there's been anything let fall off a ship. Since it is this typical trade pattern of these westerlies, a lot of times you can see a large container, but we're talking about something 75 meters wide, 75 feet wide, so very large.
So that would be an unusually large container. You also have tsunami debris, they're saying, that could be in this gyre. I guess that comes from like gyrate. It spins around in a circle.
But you'd have to have a recent event, which right now we don't have one that has actually hit land in that area, so that's not very improbable.
But they're dealing with enough already.
Enough, and weather is getting worse.
Couldn't have picked a worse area, and the truth is, they don't even know if they're in the right area. This is just a lead. Indra, very helpful. Thank you.